Alright, today, so we're going to show you how to fix the mechanical odometer on a late 90s, early 2000s Ford vehicle. Got my buddy Ron here.
What's up?
Pretty easy to do. Let's just go ahead and get started with it. So the first thing you'll want to do is drop the shifter down to first so that you can remove this trim panel right here. Snaps off pretty easily. Alright, so correction, they're actually a 7 mil. These three from the top. There's several random 7 millimeters around the perimeter of the cluster itself. We're trying to get rid of those so that we can just remove the trim around the cluster itself to be able to pull it out. So there's a couple of here on this side. And they're kind of self-explanatory where they're at. There's another one right down here. Lift the wheel back up to these. Alright, so after it's popped out, you just want to remove the wiring harnesses from the clip. This one's got a little red tab you have to pry back on before it's able to be removed, as well as on the other side. After the clip's removed, they pull out just like normal. And then this one right here actually has to be pried up on in the rear to be removed. So we just take a screwdriver, pry up, and slide it right up. And that's this trim piece out of the way. Now we can get to the instrument cluster itself. So the cluster itself has, it's looking like, I think it's just 4 or 6, 7 mils around the perimeter of it. We'll just go ahead and remove those as well. You have to readjust the position of the steering wheel and the shift lever as well the whole time, so you'll be able to get to the rest of the bolts. So on the gear selector lever on the instrument cluster itself, there's 2 tabs you can pry out on, and then carefully slide the selector itself out. Slides out just like that. Now we'll just start unclipping the wiring harnesses from the rear of the instrument panel. There should be roughly 3 of them. Alright, so there's a couple T15s on the faceplate of the gauge itself. We're just going to go ahead and remove those to get the clear cover off. And then we'll remove the gauges in order to get to the odometer. And this would be the time too as well, if it's dirty back behind the clear cover, you can go ahead and clean everything out at the same time. Or replace bulbs on the rear. So after that, you'll push down on the motor and pry up. There's 2 plastic retaining pins on there, pry up on there, and then the motor will twist and pull straight out. And right here, Here's the broken gear itself. As you see, it's coming out in multiple pieces. So here's the broken gear that actually spins your odometer in the gauge cluster itself. And this is what we'll be replacing, and then just putting everything back together. And the correct orientation of the gear itself is the little ridged crown portion goes against the motor itself, and the spirals are facing down. All right, so you'll put it in, make sure everything's lined up. You'll press down and turn, and it'll snap right back into place. And as soon as you do that, you will literally just fold the cluster back over into the housing, line everything back up. The rear screws are all on. We'll slide the trim plate back on. The odometer reset will just push right back into place. Okay. Slide the faceplate back on. Start all of the screws by hand. And these don't need to be very tight. They don't see much pressure or anything. And that's the cluster all back assembled, and we'll just get back to the car and start putting it back in. And after the rear connections are plugged back in, you're going to want to position it in a way that you can slide the gear selector controls back in. So line it up, click right in on both sides. Line it up with the tabs in the dash. And then we can begin screwing it back in. It's 4 7mm all around. Overall, the job took about 30 minutes, maybe $15, and you're back in action.